No, it takes him into zero. A real boxer, a real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was in for the fans to get mad with that was against Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, it seemed crazy.
Gervonta Tank Davis has shocked fans with his dramatic new physique ahead of his showdown with Jake Paul. Known for his explosive power and compact frame, Davis has taken his training to another level, adding serious muscle that has the boxing world buzzing. Recent gym footage shows a noticeably thicker and more intimidating version of Tank, prompting speculation that he's preparing to match Paul's size and strength head-on.
We were yelling so much about him fighting fight somebody your size. His next opponent is, by far, the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135.
In preparation for his clash with Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis appears to have turned his training routine into a full-scale assault on weakness, mixing intense strength sessions, heavy sparring, and relentless conditioning to support his sudden size increase. Reports and footage show he's incorporating heavier resistance work, especially compound lifts, to bulk up his core and upper body while still staying sharp with speed and footwork drills. Meanwhile, sparring sessions reportedly involve larger, more physical partners, even heavyweight-sized fighters, to help Davis adjust to battling much bigger opponents.
Yeah, this Santa Cruz I hit is dead. You can't let it burn, baby, let it burn. Mind over matter, son, mind over matter.
This is the blues on.
Ain't nobody doing no shit like this. Come in the desert. Nigga trying to stay away from the desert, he come in the desert.
When the night
Camera on here.
Okay, light, camera, action.
Light, action, camera.
Come on, Tank. Come on, Tank. Worm out. Worm out, Tank. Dig down in there. Dig down in there. 10 seconds. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Remember that gun on it? They got that gun on that tank. It goes, ah!
when the night is cold.
He ain't gonna keep you here late at night. Good job.
It's been hard being away from my daughter. She actually here, she sleep. Just being away from her, it was a little touchy, but I know when I'm up, up against. I know that I got pay-per-view. I know I'm fighting a tough opponent, so really I know how to lock in. I know how to shy away from everything. I know how to, I know how to fool around. I said 10.
However, Paul is naturally a much bigger fighter, and the rules for the bout include a 195-pound limit and 12-ounce gloves for both. Davis, who usually competes near 135 pounds, is being asked to bridge an enormous size and strength gap. That difference has raised major concerns, with critics arguing that adding so much mass could dull Davis's trademark speed and explosiveness, the very weapons that make him so dangerous.
Jake Paul, Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but Jake Paul now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean, it's just fucking sick.
I mean, yeah, no, but dude,
Did
Jake.
you ever watch his highlights?
Jake can crack, man.
He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pounds. Tank Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Tank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts.
UFC President Dana White didn't hold back when discussing a potential Paul versus Davis fight. He claimed that not many people are actually excited for it, but admitted the matchup could still benefit Tank. Davis has faced a stretch of negative press and slowing momentum outside the ring, making him vulnerable. With Paul offering a big payday at a low moment, the fight gives Davis a chance to regain attention and secure financial upside. White noted that while many mock the matchup, it may give Tank needed exposure and income. He believes Paul's height, reach, and physical strength would allow him to pressure Davis endlessly, leaning on him, clinching, and smothering his offense. White agrees Davis is a highly skilled fighter, but argues that bringing a naturally smaller athlete into Paul's physical range could erase those advantages, making the bout more of a test of whether Davis can survive Paul's size than a true boxing contest.
Is picking Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's where I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible, and the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So, I do like it for this reason though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole, and he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul in this fight, and says something to the effect that, hey, he was talking to Logan Paul and said, hey, when you were fighting Floyd, you know, there was this, you're a gigantic guy, big size difference. There was a time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. had an overhand right that landed.
Bare knuckle fighter and former UFC star Mike Perry didn't hold back when reacting to the rumored Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul bout. He blasted Davis for what he called a cash grab fight, instead of pursuing real boxing challenges, questioning whether Tank still has the hunger that made him a champion. According to Perry, Davis choosing to face a YouTuber turned boxer shows he's prioritizing fame and money over legacy. Perry even suggested Jake Paul might currently have greater drive and discipline than Davis. His comments reignited debate among fans about Tank's true motivation.
Tank is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100.
During the face-off with Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis appeared unusually tense, a rare sight for the confident knockout specialist. Observers noted his stiff posture, limited eye contact, and forced composure, suggesting the huge size gap might have gotten into his head. Standing before the much larger Paul, Davis seemed fully aware of the physical challenge ahead. While some fans believe he was simply calm and focused, others viewed his body language as a sign of doubt.
Comfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're gonna go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's gonna win. That's what it.
Teddy Atlas weighed in on the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis, highlighting the dramatic size difference. The veteran boxing analyst joked that Tank is so much smaller, he'd need a ladder just to hit Paul's chin. While Atlas acknowledged size differences are common in boxing, he argued this gap is far beyond reasonable. Comparing it to Canelo potentially fighting Terrence Crawford, he noted Crawford was never as undersized as Davis is here. In Atlas's view, Tank's lack of reach and natural size make the matchup look wildly uneven, more spectacle than sport from the start.
They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think, and I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him, because I know he's an expert in this area, but it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there. And I thought I had it right, and it was confirmed to me. It's Rocky.
Shakur Stevenson didn't hold back when commenting on the rumored Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight, calling it terrible for the sport. The undefeated champion said the matchup makes no competitive sense and exists only for money, not skill. Stevenson emphasized that the extreme size gap makes it a spectacle rather than a legitimate boxing contest.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I get it, because at the end of the day, it's a money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah.
There's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Leonard Ellerby explained that Tank was dealing with major personal issues and did not want extra pressure at the time. This lack of motivation is why the fight never materialized, despite fan expectations. According to Ellerby, Davis was prioritizing his personal life over proving himself in the ring, and stepping away from Roach helped him avoid unnecessary stress.
Said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it, and he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach, and that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko.
Jake Paul's boxing career often appears driven more by promotion than competition. Instead of chasing rankings or titles, Paul carefully selects opponents who create viral moments and financial hype. His matchups, from retired MMA fighters to smaller boxers like Gervonta Davis, generate headlines and social media buzz, keeping his brand hot. By blending entertainment with combat sports, Paul blurs the line between sport and spectacle, guaranteeing maximum attention regardless of fairness. A key debate in the possible Paul Davis fight is the huge physical disparity. Paul, who fights larger opponents and naturally carries much more mass, enters with an advantage in height, reach, and frame. Meanwhile, Davis is a 5 feet 5 inches fighter who usually competes around 130 pounds and dominates divisions with speed and explosive power.
Davis is actually happening. What the f is going on? I guess Tank is going broke because that's the only justifiable reason you ruin your legacy against a guy like Jake Paul. And yes, I do think Jake Paul is going to win. Tank Davis is a much better boxer and has crazy power, but he's 5'5", 130. That power is not going to carry over against someone who is 6'1", 210. And it's not like Jake is bad. Yes, his fights are boring. He says he's going to step in the ring and sleep his opponents, but the only people who end up sleeping are the audience. Mike Tyson fight. But at the end of the day, he's a big guy with power who is training boxing full time, and he has beaten some legitimate competition. Woodley, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Mike Perry had a competitive fight with Tommy Fury, but it's crazy how particular Jake has to be when selecting his opponents. They have to have enough clout to be interesting, enough skill to be taken seriously as a threat, but at the same time have clear weaknesses and disadvantages that Jake and his team can exploit to win. Now that he's fighting an elite boxer, he has to fight someone 7 weight classes down. I mean, Tank could win if he makes Jake do a very aggressive weight cut, but I just don't see that happening. I got Jake by 3rd round TKO. He should put me on the co-main event and allow me to fight Francis Ngannou. That would be an easy first round knockout.
MMA veteran Nate Diaz dismissed the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis talk entirely, saying he has no interest in predicting the outcome. Diaz argued the fight isn't a real sporting event but a money-driven spectacle meant for pay-per-view sales. He criticized modern boxing for drifting towards staged profit fights, claiming they damage the sport's integrity and legacy. According to Diaz, matchups like this prioritize entertainment over real athletic competition, making them impossible for him to take seriously.
Gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna do.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody else. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said his boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. What do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE. So
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch. And I'm looking forward to that fight.
Michael Bisping raised major concerns about Jake Paul facing Gervonta Davis under such extreme weight differences. He noted Paul is preparing to fight someone nearly 100 pounds lighter, breaking the natural balance of the sport. Bisping pointed out that the proposed Tyson fight already seemed questionable, since Tyson is 58 and long retired, and fans have grown frustrated with bizarre matchups dominating boxing news. The potential Paul Davis fight represents this trend, promoters chasing spectacle instead of meaningful, legacy-driven contests that determine champions or settle real rivalries.
Heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
So is this matchup a thrilling crossover event, or just another publicity stunt damaging boxing's credibility?